In this video, we will be explaining and demonstrating proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, otherwise known as PNF patterns. We will also be explaining how you see these patterns utilized in daily activities and sports. Here you see the therapist passively moving the patient into shoulder flexion, adduction, external rotation, elbow flexion, wrist flexion, and finger flexion. Now the therapist moves the patient into shoulder extension, abduction, internal rotation, elbow extension, wrist and finger extension. Here you see the therapist passively moving the patient into shoulder flexion, shoulder abduction, shoulder external rotation, elbow extension, finger and wrist extension, and forearm supination. Now you see the therapist passively moving the patient into shoulder extension, internal rotation, adduction, finger and wrist flexion, and forearm pronation. Now you see the therapist passively moves the patient into hip extension, abduction, internal rotation, knee extension, ankle plantar flexion, ankle eversion, and toe flexion. Here you see the therapist passively moving the patient into hip flexion, adduction, external rotation, knee flexion, ankle dorsiflexion, ankle inversion, and toe extension. Here you see the therapist passively move the patient into hip flexion, abduction, internal rotation, knee flexion, ankle dorsiflexion, eversion, and toe extension. The therapist then moves the patient passively into hip extension, adduction, external rotation, knee extension, plantar flexion, inversion, and toe flexion.
Yeah, sneers and resist, don't you?
Wouldn't that be empty pain?
No, you don't resist. It's passive.
Oh, it's passive.
But so you're stabilizing the scam.
No.
Golfer?
Yep.
Oh, I'm thinking of tennis. My fault. Okay, I got it. All right, so I'm doing this and then extending.
Where do you palpate?
Medial epicondyle.
So you may be wondering, why are these PNF patterns used? Well, they're used in everyday activities and sports-related activities. So if you go to kick a ball, you're using one of these diagonal patterns. If you go to take something out of a shelf, you're using these diagonal patterns. So basically, these patterns target everybody, old or young. Therefore, whenever you come to physical therapy, These patterns need to be used so that you can get back to your functional activities or sports-related activities.
In this part of the video, I will be showing you the PNF Patterns D2 flexion extension of the lower extremity. Today I have with me to demonstrate these patterns is Morris Wade, who used to play on a professional Brazilian soccer team.
The years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. Only shooting stars break the mold. Had to have high hopes for a living. Shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling. I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Mama said, fulfill the prophecy, be something great. Go make a I just wanna stay in the sun where I find. I know it's hard sometimes. Pieces of peace in the sun's peace of mind. I know it's hard sometimes. Yeah, think about the end, just wait. Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I got the horses in the bag, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match. Riding on a horse, ha, you can whip your Porsche. I've been in the valley, you ain't been up off that porch. Now, can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Riding on a tractor, lean all in my blood. Cheated on my baby, you can.
Just give me a cue, like 3, 2, 1.
Go.
In this video today, we'll be talking about PNF. We'll be talking about proprioception. Yikes! What is it? See, every time I say proprioception, I'm thinking what how Nathan said. He's like proprioception.
Do not.
Neuromuscular
Neuromuscular
facilitation.
facilitation.
Techniques. Is it just techniques, right?
Yeah.
Proprioceptive techniques that we.
Well, like gardening's not something you're gonna do
Yeah.
every day,
So just.
but like doing the dishes and making the bed.
Excuse me, partner. You look like a idiot. It's so true.
Are you videoing?
What?